Hey everyone, welcome back to Merch Design Academy. I made this t-shirt design using AI generated images, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. First thing we need to do is open up Photoshop and create a document that is 15 inches by 18 inches at 300 DPI. You always want to start off with a great base image before designing, especially with the style that I do, so I'm going to use Midjourney for that. Midjourney does cost around $10 a month, and I created my own Discord server with the Midjourney bot. You can look up tutorials on this, but it's super helpful, and then you don't have to have anybody else on your server. And before I get into how I designed this graphic, let's break down the layers. First up, I have flames as the background, and I found these flames on Envato Elements, and I created this upside down U shape, and they look really nice when you add the werewolves, which were generated using Midjourney. And I created a custom Discord server for this, like I was telling you before, and it just looks really nice when you put both together. And of course, the design wouldn't be complete without the typography elements. Now, I did forget what this font name was called, but we're gonna use another one today to demonstrate everything, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do some really cool text effects. Let's get started. And at the end of it, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like printed on an actual shirt. So that's going to be fun. Let's get started. So first thing I want to start with is obviously my document, which we've done at the beginning. Remember, we're using a 15 inch by 18 inch document. So now that we have the proper document, we can start breaking down each thing. So the text is really quite simple. So let's do that first. So I'm just going to hide my main layer here. So this is our original design. We'll just name that OG or original, whatever. And let's start typing something out. So in love with my... That's gonna be the top line. So really simple, I'm using my T tool to type out this, and I'm just gonna loosely put them where I think they need to go. So we're gonna do enter, and enter is going to be much bigger. And if I select my text, I can change the kerning just by using Option and the left or right arrow keys. And obviously the bottom is going to say demon. So what we could do is hold an Option while selecting enter on our layers palette and just left click and drag down. And as you can see, it duplicated it. And this one can say demons. There you go. Demons. So scary. It looks off in my opinion, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Keep telling myself that, you know? Now I'm going to basically toggle these off and look at the original. So as you can see, we have this like nice little arc, and then this one's just normal. I really love this font, but I can't remember where I got it. And I've been looking for it on my computer and I can't find it. So it is what it is. But this is a really cool style. And all I did to accomplish that is create something called an arc, which is warping the text, right? So the bottom one, we could obviously keep the same. We could probably argue that the text is really big right now, but we can always fix that later on. So I'm just gonna move this up quite a bit. And then on enter, I'm gonna go ahead and press Command T on my keyboard. If you're on a PC, that's Control T, right click, warp. And now I can do something called an arc lower. And this is something I use quite a bit. I love this because it just gives it this like really nice look. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag this anchor point quite a bit up. It just looks really nice. I love it. I don't know. I'm obsessed with it a little bit, but we can even do some warping if you wanted to. Like if you wanted to go out wider, don't be scared to warp text. You know, I know a lot of people are kind of against it, but it's honestly not that big of a deal. Warp text, have fun with it, you know? So that's like sort of the base, right? And demons is a little, in my opinion, a little big. So we can just kind of squish it in a little bit, maybe mess with the height a little bit. Something like that. Just get it nice and boxy looking, kind of like this. And the top, we can actually keep that the same. So what I want to do is apply a treatment to this. So I'm going to group all these together. I'm holding in Shift while selecting the top, and then I'm going to select the very bottom one, Shift still held, and it's going to select everything in between. So again, you select the top layer, hold in Shift, left click on the very bottom layer, and it's going to select everything in between. And then we could group this and name this text. Now, I'm just doing that to keep everything organized, right? So now everything's in a group. So if I were to, let's say, add a color overlay, it does it to everything, which is what I wanted. So now what I want to do is hold in Shift, Command, Option, E. Actually, before we do that though, we need to add a bevel and emboss. So I'm going to go to FX, which is our layer styles, and go to bevel and emboss. We're going to apply a very basic bevel to this. Something like this looks pretty good. I'm okay with it. So I'm going to press OK. Now we could do that same shortcut. And it's going to duplicate the background with that new effect. So everything's basically flattened onto its own layer with the background color. Cool thing about this is now we can go up to filter and let's actually add a slight blur. Let's add like a 2 pixel blur or like a 3 pixel blur. That's fine. And now I can go up to filter, stamp, or filter gallery, stamp, and we can apply these cool effects. Now let's take that off and just add stamp. And at first it's not going to look like anything crazy, but if you start to drag these sliders over and mess with the grain, you can see what happens here. So we kind of, it's like a balancing act essentially. And we just want to keep playing with all these different settings, and we could get some really cool looks going on here. Went a little weak on the original, so I'm kind of making up for lost times, if you will. But that looks pretty good. So now we have a textured version and a clean version. Now, the cool thing about this is if I were to take off this bevel from the original and just add a color overlay, for example, let's make it red. Why not? And check this out, I can change the blend mode of this and get color in my design as well. That's one way of doing it, but the only problem with this way is you can't stack colors on top of each other that easily. Like if I were to add yellow like I did in the original and start painting, you can see it causes some issues. Even if I change the blend mode, it's just not that great. What I would do instead is make the text in the text folder, the group here, the color that you're trying to go for. So in this case, I'm going for red. So I'm just going to make sure all these are red. And once these are all red, now we can take that texture and just change the blend mode to multiply. And as you can see, we can still stack other colors on top of it. So check this out. If I go here and clip that, I can now add a different color. Let's say I want to add yellow, a little bit of a yellow in there. And you could do that way easier and it just looks so much nicer. It just kind of looked like it was like painting over the texture that we added, and I don't like that. So now the texture is still present and we still got that cool look. And that's kind of what I did on the original. Now I'm going to take my marquee tool and just lightly paint some yellow at the bottom here as well. Again, I'm just doing this very subtly. I don't want it to be too crazy, but as you can see, it looks pretty nice, and that's what I'm going to go with. Now we can group everything together. Again, I know we're creating a lot of groups here, but now this is going to be our final text edit. There you go. So now we have the final text, and we can hide that for now. And let's go ahead and start manipulating the wolves in order to get this really nice stipple effect that I show in the final design. So I have it pulled up right here. Again, this was taken from Midjourney. This is AI generated. And I know a lot of people are against it, but it is what it is, you know? I'm just going to resize it. That's it. And now that I have it resized, it actually retained a lot of information, which is shocking to me. But it did really good. So we will run into some issues. Like the wolf right here, it has a lot of background elements. It's got some blurs going on. So that might present a problem, but let's just see what Adobe Sensei does. So I'm going to click on the image, which is the wolves, and I'm going to go to properties, which is right here. And let's just select subject and see what happens. And as you can see, it actually does a pretty good job. Now let's try remove background. You know what? I'm not mad at that, and this will work for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that. Now, if you wanted to refine your selection, you could, but I think this will suffice. Maybe we can paint this part back in. Yeah, you know what? There is one little part on the tooth right here that does need to be painted back in. Now that this has a layer mask already, I can paint with black with a soft round brush and basically give it a nice smooth, fade in. Now, if I hide my background layer, you can see what it's doing there. Now, normally, if I'm not applying any effects, you would not want to do this because screen printing and DTG printing doesn't like 0% opacity. The way I'm going to show you how to process the image is going to fix it anyway. So this looks pretty good. Let's toggle our background back on. And now what I could do is I can, if I wanted to, I can make an extra copy in case I screw up, and we can start doing our effect to separate the tones, which is going to be really fun. So the way these separations are going to work is we're going to apply a hue and saturation adjustment above our image, and we're just going to desaturate it. And this is so we can see it in black and gray. That's it. And then we're going to add a levels adjustment. So it's going to be 3 different things: your original photo, hue and saturation, and then levels. So levels is what we're going to use to control the tones, okay? So that's important to keep in mind. The first one, we want it to be really flat. So we're gonna go about like right here with it. We're gonna exaggerate that, make it very flat. And what I wanna do is I'm gonna hold in Shift, Command, Option E, duplicate all that, and we can name this the base layer. So this is base, and we're gonna do this for every single tone. So now we wanna go down to the mids a little bit more like this, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do Shift, Command, Option E, and now this is going to be our, let's just say midtones. Now we got our base and our midtones. And we're going to do this for our what? Our highlights, right? So now let's do the highlights. We can bump those up just a tad bit more. And now we're going to do it for our last layer, which is going to be more of like a brighter highlight. Now we can always redo these if something doesn't look good, right? But we won't need to do that. So this is going to be our highlight. And this one's going to be our speck, our brighter highlight. And the beauty is we can actually hide everything else now. We don't need it. So if you do have any other color besides black and white, you do want to press D on your keyboard, and that's going to put your foreground and background color back to default, which is black as the foreground and white as the background, okay? And you can switch them just by pressing X. It's really cool. And you can work quite efficiently and fast that way doing that, especially when you're using the brush tool to use like layer masks or anything like that. So with our black foreground color, we can go up to Filter, filter gallery. The two things that we're going to be using right now are stamp and grain. So you can hit this little plus icon and just select them from the list, which mine are hidden, but you just want to select it from the list here. And we only need stamp and grain. So stamp is going to be above grain. Remember that. Honestly, every photo is going to change. So don't rely on just my settings. Your settings might change unless you're using this exact photo, of course, but you definitely want to make sure these settings are, changed per image, because again, things do change. So I'm literally just going to go through all these different settings in order to get the look that I'm going for. This is looking pretty good, actually, in my opinion. I just was looking for a little bit more information in this cheek, but to me, this looks really good. So I'm going to press OK. And the base layer, believe it or not, is already done. Now all I have to do is select the black and delete it, but we want to make sure contiguous is unchecked, so it selects all of the black. So now check this out. If I delete it, you can see if I hide my background, we have a perfect white layer. So now we can color this anything we want. So we're going to keep that there for now. Let's just hide it. And now let's go to our midtones and apply that same effect by going up to filter and just clicking the top. It says filter gallery. It's going to remember our exact settings that we just used. And there you go. It's already done. So if you wanted to, you can always go in and play with them a little bit more, but I'm just going to use my settings that I just used on the original. So everything's really consistent. And again, you just want to delete the color out, hide it, and do the same thing for the highlight layer. Everything is going to be the same process repeated. The beauty of doing it this way is now when I go to select my colors, so let's make this like a blue color. Check this out. This will be our blue. We can even copy the color over. So I'm just holding in like option, dragging that effect over to the new layer. This one's gonna be a little bit lighter, which is going to be more of probably like a yellowish color. If you find the tones are too similar, you can always play with the midtones especially, and maybe make it something a little bit more poppy like this yellow. And in fact, let's look at the original real quick and see what we were using, because I can't remember exactly what I used for it. So let's check that out. So it looks like I went with more of like a tealish color, which is fine. We could do that. It's funny because I actually like the yellow, so I kind of am tempted to stick with it, but let's try like more of a teal color and make it a little poppier, sort of like this. And to me, this already looks really nice. So we can stick with that. And then the yellow, we can make a little bit more poppy. And then for the brightest parts, we could just keep them white. And as you can see, we have like a cool look going on here. And let's go ahead and group these together. So I'm going to hold in Shift, select bright, and then select the very last layer, Command G to group it. So this is going to be our layer separations for the werewolf. So there you go. And what I want to do is add a solid color fill over everything and make it red. And you'll see why in a second. But now that that's red, I can basically invert this selection and just paint the eyes in that color. So that solid color fill is basically just acting like my eye color essentially. And you could do this with anything, honestly, but this is a brilliant way of working in my opinion. And we just basically do this for every single eye that you see. So this one, we have quite a bit of eyes, honestly. So you can see that if I change the blend mode, I get a little bit more tonal range there. So depending on what kind of look you're going for, you might like that. I personally do like it, so I'm going to keep it. Now we can go grab our flames, which I already have opened up, and I found these in Envato Elements. Probably noticed already, but we don't have a base layer, so our flames are kind of bleeding through. So what we want to do is basically create that base layer. And in order to do that, we just want to take our original wolves here and check this out. You're taking the original image essentially, and now we can go up to Filter, Filter Gallery, and check this out. We could just take the stamp and move it over to the left, press OK. And we basically have our base layer just like that. Now, the only problem is it's not a smooth gradient. That's the only issue. So if you want a smooth gradient, all you have to do is go up to Filter, Pixelate, Color Halftone, and I'm kind of cheesing this right now. Actually, we want this on a black background, so that's my bad. So now that's on a black background, let's try that again. Let's do Color Halftone, and you're gonna see it apply it, and then from here, you can literally just add a threshold effect, and it's gonna print way nicer. So now we can just copy that white, Shift, Command V, paste that in place, and now delete these, and you have that nice base layer. So that's pretty much all you have to do, and you just want to make sure it is black, so I'm just going to press Command I on it to invert it. But now when we apply these flames, you can see they're actually behind our characters versus being in front of it or blending into it. We don't want that, so ended up working out nicely. Now the only thing we need to do is start figuring out exactly where we want these flames to peek out of. So if you want some of these flames going out of the mouth or something like that, you can always do that. I don't really care for this one if it's like that or not, but if you really care, you just have to kind of figure out exactly how you want them positioned. So this can be one of the positions, and if I wanted to, I can simply duplicate it, Command T, right click, flip, and we could just do the same thing so everything's symmetrical. And now what we could do is take our main flame, which is right here, drag that into place, and we can even widen it up a lot. This looks good, but we are having issues with the bottom, so I'm just gonna take my marquee lasso tool and just delete the bottom. You can also just add a layer mask, it's really up to you. But my only issue with these flames is that the problem with them is they're not very wide. So if we wanted to, we could just duplicate this a bunch of times and create a wider flame. It's a lot of like, wizardry, if you will. I'm also gonna add a layer mask, and this is going to allow me to start painting some of the flames out in certain areas so, things are not being hidden. That's pretty much it. So as you can see, we had like a little black box right here on the right. I know it's hard to see probably, but yeah, we just want to make sure that's not like that. And another issue we have is that there is a black background attached to these flames. So if you wanted to, you can left click on it and just take the blend if and basically move it over a little bit. And I do have some that are peeking in between the wolves, but I'm not going to do those. And you're probably asking, how did you get that same effect that you used on the wolves? It's the same exact process. So I'm going to run through it really quickly. Now, as you can see, it's not very pretty in the background, but keep in mind, we have a lot of elements that are hiding the flames, the imperfections, which are the wolves, right? So you don't really need to worry about that too much. The only thing I would recommend doing is just cleaning up the blends. That's it. That's pretty much all you have to do. But this is literally all you need for the background to work. And we can even merge these together. Check this out. And then toggle on our engine that we just made, which is the hue and saturation and the levels. And now you can start playing with these again. So we're going to do the same exact process. So we're just going to go back to square one, create a flat flame, and this will be layer one. So I'm just going to hold Shift Command Option E. This is going to be our base. It's crazy how simple it is. Once you get it down, it's super easy. You just have to kind of get used to doing this. And once you get the workflow down, it really is so easy. These are our midtones, or we could just name it number 2. It doesn't matter what you want to name it. And let's go ahead and do the same thing for our highlights. Yeah, I mean, I think when I first started doing this method, I repeated the same steps millions of times, I feel like, until I figured it out, So yeah, I'm going to press OK now. And this layer is done. We just want to make sure we delete the background. So that's layer number 1 done. I had 2 bases. That's something I messed up on. But yeah, I'm going to apply the same exact filter gallery effect now to this other flame. And then we're going to do this for every single one. That's pretty much it. Now the white layer honestly can use some work. It's pretty bad. So what I'm going to do is hide everything. And let's toggle on the main layer here. And maybe make a better highlight layer, in all honesty, because it's pretty freaking bad. And I'm okay with these flames. They're definitely not as good as my originals, but you guys get the point. It's just a lot of trial and error. That's literally all it is. Now, if I toggle on our dogs again, you can see that our flames are in place and everything looks pretty good. Again, my flames are a little weak, but it takes time to get them right. So just take your time on them. And our text is already done as well. Now, you can see with our text, there's issues because of the positioning of everything. So what we'd want to do is you'd actually want to drag your text above everything. This looks pretty good, but if we wanted to, we can even add a outer glow to our wolves as well, so they stand out from the flames just like that. And there's one issue I do see, and the issue is that our text is not below the top of the wolf. So if you wanted to, you could just duplicate the text layer and put it below the wolf. And then these ones you can just like pretty much merge, convert them to a smart object to merge them, and then just add a layer mask basically. And you could even make it like a hard round brush and just paint away the parts that you want to show. Anyway, that's how I did it. Let me know what you guys think about the design and the strategy in the comment section below. And this, my friends, is what the final print looks like. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. The thing I love about Applique so much is that there's no monthly fee, which means you can integrate them with your Shopify store or other e-commerce stores and start selling your own merch right now, which means you could technically start a clothing brand for $0. It's kind of a no-brainer. Check them out, links in the description below. And don't forget, I teach one-on-one lessons over at Merch Design Academy. I only accept 7 students a month, so if you want to claim your spot, do so right now using the link in the description below or visit merchdesignacademy.com.